address something. Let's talk about maybe one of the most contentious contenders in this race. Now, a lot of people didn't bargain or didn't factor this man and his party in this race, but he's definitely come like a ball in a china shop and he's rocking down the place. So we have to consider him as a viable candidate in this race. So let's look at what Nigel Farage and Reform are promising with regards to housing. Now, as I did mention, I'm going to try my best to be unbiased, but my facial expressions might tell a different story. So I will try my best. So when it comes down to Reform under Nigel Farage, Reform, in my opinion, have the most stable, have the most consistent. Well, consistent is interesting because there's no history, but with regards to what they're suggesting, there's consistency, unlike many of the other parties. Under Nigel Farage, Reform aimed to bring a significant change to the housing sector, where they focus on deregulation. Now, the reason why I said they have the strongest policy on housing is simply because they are acknowledging that it's not landlords' fault, which is a prime complaint or a prime assertion for most people, that landlords are evil, burn them at the stake. We can have a conversation about that another time. But they're the first party that I've heard that have said, look, the issue that we're having is the red tape, the bureaucracy, the planning department, the planning policies, people having to jump through hoops. And if they have to jump through hoops and the country is growing at the way it's growing, and we can't build enough homes because it's taken 1 year, 3 years, 5 years to get a property from acquisition stage to build stage, then of course we have an issue. And he's the first person that I'm hearing talk about how regulation is slowing down house building in the UK. So let's talk about some of their key points. So Reform UK are advocating for removing and reducing the red tape in the planning policy to speed up the construction of new homes. Again, and that's why I use the word consistency. They're simply indicating that, look, we can build these houses, we know who can build these houses, we can hit this target, we just need to remove that one person, that one system, that one thing, government, planning policy, out of the way and let us do our jobs. They want to increase housing supply, and they want to focus by increasing housing supply by making it easier for private developers to build. Again, emphasis, I'm not voting for Reform. As much as I believe that housing plays a significant part in determining who you should vote for, Reform's policies on paper are absolutely the best policies if you want house building to move in the UK. If you want house building to take off in the UK, it's got to be through Reform. So what they've simply said here is, look, we're accepting, we're putting our hands up. We need private developers to build. So let's remove the bottleneck. Let's remove the issues. Let's remove the contenders that are stopping private developers from building. Now, again, I want to throw in some very interesting stats. There are about 8.6 million renters in the UK, and private investors are providing accommodation for about 4.4 million. So again, it's indicative that this housing market is propped up by the private individual who risk their own capital. And Reform and Nigel Farage are simply saying that, hey, let's put some power back in their hands, let them do what they do. We know they're doing it for profit, therefore they're going to get it done, unlike councils. So when it comes down to home ownership, Reform support home ownership through specific schemes like a more improved version of Help to Buy. And one key thing, which I mentioned about consistency with what they're saying, is they want to encourage private sector investment, encouraging private sector investment in housing to take over to help meet the demand. They want to introduce local control over housing decisions to better reflect the needs of the community. Guys, if you got some value from this video, make sure you smash that like button. I'd love to hear your comments below, and make sure you hit that notification bell.